Hi, I'm Eddie Mam here from Metropole Property Strategists, and in this series of short 3-minute videos, Michael Yardney and I discuss the common mistakes we've seen investors make, because the more you know about these mistakes, the better your likelihood of building your lasting wealth. Today we discuss the importance of location, and it's often said that the secret to property is location, location, location. We've heard that numerous times before, but is that really true? And with so many locations to consider, where do we even start? So to help answer that question, I've got Michael Yardney here to join me. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, Ahmed. You're right. Location is important. It's not the only factor, but in my mind, location does about 80% of the lifting of your property's performance. There's always going to be people telling you to buy regional locations, but in my mind, the best locations are the big capital cities. We're looking for properties that are going to outperform the averages. As a property investor, you've got three things to play with. You've got budget, and that's usually determined by the banks. You've got location, and you're not allowed to compromise on that. And then there's the type of property in the location. So the sort of locations that are going to outperform the averages, and our research at Metropole goes back over 30 years, shows that capital cities outperform regional areas, and in fact, the inner and middle ring suburbs of the capital cities outperform the outer suburbs. And that's because that's where the jobs growth is occurring, but not just any jobs growth with where the wages are higher. It's also where most of the population is going. So while there's always people out there saying buy in regional Australia, and there are some lovely places to live there, in my mind, you should be sticking to the big capital cities, in particular 3 big East Coast capital cities, because why fight the trend?
Was this always the case, Michael?
No, in fact it wasn't, and that's why I think some people get it wrong. Way back at Federation, regional land was more valuable than a capital city property. And if you go to country towns around Australia, you'll still see some great big mansions and some large estates, because we used to live off the sheep's back, and it was an agricultural nation. Then we became an industrial country in the 1900s, and people moved from the country, from regional Australia into the cities. Look, now that no longer we don't manufacture goods, so it's all about services. So moving forward, the areas where people's wages are going to go up more, where they're going to have more disposable income, where they're going to be able to pay more for property, is going to be around the big financial nodes and in the big financial hubs of Australia, Ahmed.
If I can play devil's advocate, Michael, because it's a question I receive from my clients, isn't all the good land taken? Isn't it unaffordable?
Well, you're right. The land is taken in the areas where we want to buy, and that's why we don't buy in new estates where there's no scarcity in the outer suburbs that you build, and then you can build the next estate and the next estate. But even though it's taken, and yes, it's unaffordable, may I ask, unaffordable to whom? So I don't want to invest where people can just eke it out and buy below median price. I want to invest where people have got higher disposable incomes and are able to and prepared to pay a premium to live there. And it's not just in Australia. You go to any big capital city in the world and you're going to find much the same. The wealthy people live close to the CBD and close to all the amenities, and the blue collar workers and the working, and this is not a judge of people, it's just a judge of affordability, Ahmed, but the blue collar workers live further out. But we're finding a trend in Australia happening, which is catching up with the big countries overseas, the big cities overseas, where people are trading space, big backyards, for place, amenities. They're trading their backyards for balconies and courtyards. They're prepared to live in the inner and middle ring suburbs of our big capital cities rather than drive long distances. I'm not convinced that in the future land around Parramatta is ever going to be more valuable than land near the harbour, despite all the building going on there, or land in Geelong, in Melbourne, or on the Sunshine Coast or Gold Coast is ever going to be as valuable as near the heart of Brisbane or Melbourne. I guess I'd ask our viewers to think the following. If money was no object and it didn't restrict where you lived, and you wanted to live where you could have your choice of living wherever all the amenities and everything is, where would you want to live? And it would probably be close to the CBD, close to the schools, close to the parks, close to the walkability of good shops and good public transport, close to one of our big capital cities. People don't wake up in the morning wanting to live in those outer suburbs. They choose to because they've got no choice, and that's okay. But that's why I think that not all land's created equal, Ahmed.
Thank you for that insight, Michael, and continue to join us each week where we discuss the common mistakes investors make. Thanks again, Michael.
My pleasure.